Chase Lee Hockey with the Blue Futon. In another Sundance documentary, I decided, you know what? I have nothing to do from after Yang to watch her. I watched The Exiles. It's a Christine Choy movie about China and American relations in Tiananmen Square in 1989. Is this documentary worth you finding? The Exiles. Let's find out. So The Exiles, not The X-Files, The Exiles. What is this one about? It's pretty simple. I already kind of told you before the intro. It is about the Tiananmen Square, what the Chinese government did to get rid of all the evidence of what that was happening, as well as all the Chinese rebels, you want to put it that way, that came to America, because if they would have stayed in China, they probably would have been killed, to try to tell the world, America, what happened in China in 1989. And what they're trying to do is change it to a democracy instead of a communist party in China, which it is still a communist party right now. But this is the story of the 80s, 90s, into today, of what these Chinese people were kind of saying, I told you so. If the world leaders from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and today actually said, China, you're bad, what can we do about it? But the problem is we do have multiple politicians that take money from China, everything like that. Businesses take money from China. Like I said, you can make something in China that's 2 cents, but then here it would be $2, and they see that $1.98 difference, and there you go. Apple does it. Everyone does it. That's why I'm trying real hard to go from anything but China. I know it's hard because you still have Taiwan, Indonesia, Vietnam, but honestly, I think that's better than China at this point because they're poor countries. But anyway, did I like this documentary? It is an okay documentary. If you could not like the character Christina Cho as a whole, I'm pretty sure I'm saying her name right. Oh, Christine Cho. That's my fault. She's a very bombastic person, cussing a lot. Says something very interesting. I don't know why they brought Trump in the beginning of the documentary. You could totally tell the two directors hated Trump. Her, the Chinese lady, Miss Cho, she is very just bombastic, will just say anything on her mind. So if it has something negative to do with this person, she'll say it. This person negative, doesn't matter what side of the aisle. So I feel like some of the stuff in this was very director specific, of like, oh, we're going to attack Trump in this beginning of, apparently, Sundance in 2007, they were fucking up in arms about Trump, which I find that very interesting. But at least at the very end of the documentary, it does talk about like what Clinton did with China was very warmy, fuzzy, and same with Obama and Biden today, and Trump, shaking hands and everything like that during his presidency. So it did go through the timeline of how we are still trying to build a relationship, and I can't understand that pros and cons, because we don't want war, but now we're kind of on the verge with Taiwan happening, China-Ukraine, which is Russia-Ukraine, which is very different, South China Sea, Korea, India, Pakistan, and now China coming to Cuba and doing their China world building thing with the highways. So it's a lot of, global affairs happening right now, but this kind of focuses on the three characters who left China, kind of were exiled from China because of the protests in Tiananmen Square. It's very informative. There's a lot of information that you haven't seen before, because even it says in the documentary, she made all this film for 20-something reels, and they ran out of money, so they kind of stopped filming. So it's kind of a documentary, and they're just looking at this footage. The footage is nothing like awe-inspiring, though. The footage is mostly just interviews of these three people throughout history, and that is about it. I was expecting more footage from the Tiananmen Square and stuff like that they brought to China, because it is censored in China as a whole. And even she goes to China not knowing, like in 2007 or 17, where she's like, what about Tiananmen Square? They're like, oh, our parents don't talk about it. It's censored, period, dot. Well, I mean, China doesn't have Google, Twitter, Facebook. They have their own shit, Huawei phones, and yet our companies are still trying to pander to them, which I give credit to some companies that are saying, you know what, like Disney with Eternals, Shang-Chi, Spider-Man, if you're not going to edit it, all right, suck it, such a suck, which, whatever, that's a different topic as a whole. Well, it kind of isn't, because it is still a China versus what are companies doing with China. But like I said, this focuses more on the Tiananmen Square and everything like that. As a whole, it doesn't really give the viewers a lot of information about the Tiananmen Square, and more of just the backgrounds of, it feels like footage that other people have already filmed, but just at a different view, if you know what I'm saying, because a lot of the footage is a lot of reporters filming already, so this footage has already been seen before. This is just a very different, view or side of this type of footage. But overall, it is an informative documentary. It does what it's supposed to do. As a documentary, I've seen The Exiles as well as Fire of Love. Fire of Love is a vastly superior documentary. Like I said, this one, you could say the directors totally took sides on one side, but with Miss Cho, she doesn't care. She'll say whatever she wants. Like during the question and answer, she talked. One of the questions was about Asian violence on the rise, and she's like, "Well, there's always been Asian violence. We're just now the media's finally deciding to say something," which is like, "Thank you for saying the media is corrupt." And then, she did talk about President Trump and everything about calling it the China virus and how just people had to put anger on someone. But then she did say this also is China's fault because COVID virus did come from China, and China is the one that did, seal information, take scientists, go into hiding, and do all that stuff. So she's like, yeah, you could blame Trump for calling it the China virus to put blame on Asians, but she's like, well, it's still China who did it. And you can kind of tell the two directors are kind of like, stuck up with that answer. But I thought it was in kind of a, a circle is a circle, a square is a square, a peg's a peg. If the hole fits, it is what it is. But The Exiles, it was a movie, so The Exiles will receive a 2.5 out of 5 Futons. Equals at 50%. So what the critics' news scores gave this one. Alright, on Rotten Tomato, it doesn't even exist right now, so it's basically just on IMDb. So there it is. It's an okay documentary, the weakest film I've seen at Sundance by far. I just wish it was more informative of what was actually happening in China instead of what was already happening in the States. Anyway, 50%. Chase Lee Hockey with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about this Blue Futon Utopia. You Blue Futonians, thank you for watching and have a great day. And then tonight is Watcher, as well as another midnight movie, See No Evil. Let's see if I can get those out tonight as well. Thank you for watching. And we're almost at 600. We have one more left. I was at 600 like 2 hours ago and someone took it off. I don't know if someone did it or just YouTube sucks. But hey, my fresh review is doing pretty good.